Alright, well, g'day there. Richard Musgrave-Evans here again and welcome back. In the Flinders Ranges, Outback Australia. Very overcast day, but there's plenty of distance near to far, so we'll make the most of the little bit of sunshine we're getting and also the near to far. So, let's get into it. I've got the basic simple colour palette again. Viridian green, magenta, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, titanium white, and a cad yellow and a cad red, and that'll pretty much do it, I reckon. Now it's just going to be a fast and furious painting, and I think I better get into it before the light changes too much, because I like where the sun is, kind of looking into a silhouette. Let's get into it. Alright, well, I've got a bit of a horizon line taped off to get me nice and level, because the trailer's on a bit of a funny angle. I reckon I'll get some darks in, peel that tape off and get into it. Right, let's start with some of the darks. Go for a beautiful alizarin crimson, Viridian green and blues and burnt siennas, just anything mixed up like that will produce a nice dark. What do we got? A bit more red because it's ever so slightly green. Now I'm just going to stick, how am I going to work this today? Just a few darks, a little bit more pure red in that. That'll be the ridge top here. Okay, let's put some of them in. That'll fade down to there nicely. That'll do for the darks. Get some white. Establish some of that distance. A bit more blue with the browns, the burnt siennas. Bit of permanent magenta there thrown in. Now I want to just establish what key am I going to make. Let's just have a look. A bit more Viridian green and burnt sienna. Just trying to create a fairly neutral shadow style landscape out there, and then I'll accent it with some highlights. So fairly keyed down for now, fairly low key. Let's have a look. So it's got an ever so slightly green dominant feature about it, because those salt bushes are giving off a slight feeling of green. Just add a bit more white to lighten that value. I just want to get the value correct. A bit more burnt sienna, a bit more green. That's nice. Yeah, just need that little bit more white to lighten the value. Throw that in like so. A bit more burnt sienna to warm her up a bit. Burnt siennas and reds. A bit more white to lighten that value. Come to the edge nicely. Some darks in there. Okay, let me just stand back and have a look and see what I think, and then I'll get stuck into it. Alright, add a bit more of the blues to send it off into the distance. Got the blue pre-mixed there. Blue, greys, low-key colours. Yeah, just needs a little bit more warmth to that, so I'm going to add a bit of burnt sienna and a bit of yellow ochre. Just feel like it needs to be ever so slightly warmer. Pretty good, yeah. Now go for some white and the blues. A little bit of red with that blue in the form of magenta. Let's have a look. Stick that on there. Pull that through now. Get that tape off. Hopefully I won't wear it. Now that's going to be a good edge there. And then what I'll do, once I've got that, start shooting up here like this. That'll be the basic feel of the range going off in the distance. Just go for a slightly smaller knife. Put some brown in that, magenta. Trying to grey her off a bit by mixing the opposite of the colour wheels together. Let's go for a bit of red because it's quite green. Still, it's going to be blue, magenta-y blue dominant, so the major colours are going to be purple in the form of magenta and phthalo blue, with a few of the other colours mixed in just to key it off. That's about where I want it. Yeah, that'll shoot there. That one there. These hills have a beautiful, consistent repetition about them. Repetition with variation. Chung 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 chung. They're never quite repeating himself, but there's a pattern that goes on and on, which is great. Alright, so that. On there. A bit more magenta and green to darken the value of this one as it gets a bit closer. Just darken that off with magenta, that's it. One's peeking up nicely. We want them to be varied, like I said. Similar but not the same. A bit more white, a bit more blue in here that I've already pre-mixed to lighten it. Just feel your way through. A bit more white with the pale blue. A bit more white to lighten that value. Let's get that set up there. A lot more white because it's just going on and on, back and back, moving further. Lovely stuff. A bit more white again because this just goes on forever, doesn't it? Reminds me of the poetry. Love a sunburnt country, land of sweeping plains, rugged mountain ranges, droughts and flooding rains. Well, we've got all that here. Beautiful distance that goes on forever, look at that. That'll peak up a bit more. Let me stand back and see if I'm getting the blend how I want it. Okay, that's all good. Now, more white to lighten the value. We're going to get stuck into the sky now. It's going to be much lighter in value. A bit more magenta with that. What colour we got? It's very grey, but I'm going to pull out the subtle colours in the grey today. So I'm using magentas, blues, burnt siennas. Pretty grey. Let's have a look what we got. Just added a little bit more blue-green then because it was a little bit too much magenta. Let's get that on. We'll just basically get it all on and then we'll try and work out what we want to do. We want to get a big difference. We want to clear all that white, get rid of all that white, because that's the thing that's making it look unfinished. Get the most important things in first, and the most important things here are obviously establishing colour and value first so we can get that big block in. A bit more white, a little bit more blue as it recedes maybe. Phthalo is very strong, so I've got to be careful with that phthalo. I just threw a tiny bit in there and it went absolutely blue. So to knock that, kill it off a bit, I'll use a bit of burnt sienna and magenta. Keep the tonal value light by keeping on adding white. Pretty good. Something along those lines. A bit more burnt sienna and magenta, slightly darker value I want in here. That's it. The underside of the clouds are a little bit darker. Magenta, burnt sienna. Still block it in. Let's get it on. Up to the edges, nice and neat. Lovely. Scuffle that in. bit more burnt sienna, phthalo blue, magenta. Mix. I'm seeing a little bit more brown up in the sky. There's a fair bit of brown, especially behind you guys. I think it's the land reflecting back into the clouds, so it warms it up. So, let's get that in. Let me just have a look at that, eh? It's all good. A little bit more blue. Just going to paint some of the sky itself, the clean sky, rather than the cloud. So that'll be ultramarine blue and magenta and white. Pretty strong colour really up here, like that. Just little pieces of blue kicking around, not too much. Then, if I go for some blue and yellow ochre, I'm actually going to get the lower part of the sky where there's a little bit of blue shining through. Yellow ochre. Such a strong colour. Like I was saying, that phthalo, I actually need maybe a bit of burnt sienna to kill it off because it's just too strong. Lighten it off. More burnt sienna and yellow ochre. What have we got around us? Okay, let's have a look. Just drop a little bit in there. Just a suggestion. Here and there. Alright. Change tack a bit, go for some burnt cad orange, burnt sienna, magenta, a little bit of white. Going to paint some of that earth in shadow. A little bit of a sand dune just in front of us. Just want to put some of that in. Burnt sienna, cad. I want it to be the shadow version of it, and then I might put some direct light on, and I may not. We'll see how we go. Put that on. A little bit more burnt sienna, cad. More over here maybe, kicking around. White, cad, burnt sienna. A little bit there. Let me have a look. That's alright. Bit of yellow ochre, a bit of those blues. Trying to paint a little bit of a salt bushy colour now. Let's have a look. There's just some kicking around there. Some of the saltbush colours. Getting rid of the white. In the foreground, get rid of the white. Make everything low key so I can put the accents. When I put the sun on, she'll pop. Okay. Burnt sienna and red. Low key. Burnt sienna, maybe magenta. Just trying to put some of that earthy feel that's in there. Not just the dark blue, there's some of the local colour which is more of the colour of the earth itself. Put some of that in. Magenta, some of those burnt siennas. Slide that in there. Magenta, burnt siennas. Let's get the feeling, let's get some application. Get the paint on so we've got something to muck around with, eh? Okay, now with the knife I'm just going to take some paint off a little bit to redefine the shape of those hills, those lovely jagged hills. Take a little bit of paint off. It's blown an absolute gale, but this trailer is protecting me from the wind. That's the beauty of the plein air trailer. It just works great. Now look at that. So as I'm taking that off, I'm really getting that clean, crisp jaggedness that you get in this sort of country. Just lighten that off to send it back off into the distance. Really pale blue. Like so. It just sends it off forever. Gradually bring it in, like so. Let's change tack a bit. We'll put a little bit of light source on the clouds themselves. Instead of having all those low-key colours, let's start lightening things up a bit to make the painting start to pop. So we'll go burnt sienna, have your twangy yellow ochre in that, with plenty of white. Let's just see what we got. I'll just drop some in here to give myself the idea of what's going on. Yeah, it's not bad. Just pull it through like that. Just lightly licking it across where the sun's hitting. As it gets lower, it goes to more of a grey magenta, but it's still a light tone. There's plenty of the burnt sienna in it, but it's keyed off a bit because it's further away, like so. Like that. Maybe a twang more yellow ochre in it with the burnt sienna. Might establish a light tone now, one of the lightest tones, yellow ochre and white. Nice clean strong colour. Up here where there's plenty of sunlight, let's just pile her on. Get some good bright colours here, then we'll work out what we're going to do, but I really want some white tones in here, just great stuff. Pull it around, all different angles, moving I was going to say the brush, but it's actually the knife, as we know, all different ways. Pull that through, changing the direction. It's all happening. Okay, clean that. She's all in foreground shadow at the moment, but that distance is lit up. I'm going to go with that, so I'll go for some yellow ochre, white, some of these magentas to knock it back a bit. Let's just have a look. I want some bright here, really light values. The sun's shining like that, a little bit licking the hills here. Go for some cad orange and white. Magenta, I want a really light value. There's some sun just licking the hills. What do we got here? A bit here, warm it up. sun's shining, it's beautiful. Sunlight and shadow. Right. It's a funny old day, it keeps going light and shadow and doing all sorts of things, so we'll just keep going with it. Light value. Some of the yellow ochres, but also a few magentas to take it back. And just clean up some of these areas, real straight clean lines. Just with the lights looking around, looking along light and shadow as I was saying. All that through, that's it, nice. Bit more of the magentas, half mixed. Just pick out some of the detail in that hill. There's some beautiful patterns, light and shadow shapes. It's lighter up here. We've got the repetition with variation theme going on here. Lighter right up. Here comes the rain now. It's actually raining. In the outback, we've got rain. Can you believe that? That's nice. That's lit up beautiful there. Just got to work out where we want the accents to be, don't we? Just going to get the brush out for a minute and just soften a little bit. I just want to soften the sky a little bit with a brush. I love applying paint with the knife, but I find that you can get a softness quicker with the brush obviously, but you can get the softness with the knife. I know quite a few techniques that will allow that to happen, but at the same time, there's something easier about getting a beautiful brush and just scooping along like that. But you get a lot of paint on with the knife quickly, which is great. Just put that through up like that, like that. Let me have a look what I got. All right, well, just put this paper towel up a bit. What do we got? Okay, now, yeah, we are recording, that's great. Now the sun's coming along nice. I've got some nice accent here where it was shining on there before. Might just mix up a little bit of cad. Get some high key, a bit of white to really lighten that value. Tiny bit of magenta just to knock it back a bit. And make it like an earthy brown to the Outback, kind of that red brown colour. Just want to see what happens when I put a few strong accents, maybe a little bit more cad orange to build up the intensity there. Really got something to contrast against here. Because we've put in so many low key colours, dark, when we do go to put the light on like so, it's absolutely going to pop, isn't it? Because we've got so much to work with here. So much dark, light against dark, all of a sudden those accents just jump. And just lost the camera then too, she blew over, but I think we're still in the game. All right, so yeah, you can see these accents are jumping out nicely, and we just need a bit of softening, a bit of hardening. I'm liking the way I've accented this through here. Pull that through, that's good. Alright, that's good. Get some yellow ochre, white, high key yellow ochre and white. Just pull it through here. That's the sun looking there. Real high key colours. I've got the cad yellow, the yellow ochre, the white. What do I want that to be? Through like that so you can really feel the sunlight. Cad yellow, white. We just got to watch what we're doing here. This foreground. Beautiful big chunks of paint. Paper towel's wild. What we got? Let's wander in a bit. Move that clamp. That's better. Okay. Now with all this wind blowing around, things are going crazy, but not to worry. Now what I want to do is get some of these, like I said, the plein air trailer blocks the wind. Other things are blowing over, the camera's blowing over, all sorts of things. But we're all good. Which one will I use? Maybe that one. Sharp, define that one, really stand it up. We want variety, we want some sharper than others. That one's going to be pretty sharp too, we'll pull that up like that. I've got lighter values and darker values here as I was doing it earlier. There's a bit of a point there too. Pull that one up, we'll clean up these edges. It's a real feeling of near to far now, she's drifting off. Clean this up a little, take some paint off, just sharpen that. Pull some paint off here to find the edge of that shadow, beautiful. So like I'm saying, the paint, I painted the sky with the knife over the top of the dark blue, just that little bit. So if I get the edge of the knife and clean up now, I can actually get back to the original dark edge, and I can draw a dark edge by just taking paint off. There's been a lull in the storm. She's gone a bit quiet now, the wind, which is absolutely great. Now every mark I do is going to make it different. It's going to change it. Like I said, the closer you, I've said before in other videos, the closer you get to finish, the more you've got to look and just put a mark in and look, and don't get too carried away all the time, because what can happen is every single mark you do makes a big difference to the finished product now. At first you're just going for the biggest differences and blocking things in, but now every single mark actually makes a lot of difference. So it's good to get back once you've made that mark. Now I've got a mixture of burnt sienna and white. I'm just trying to pick out a few more clouds here, sharpen up some of the detail in these areas. Alright, well things, what do you got here as a knife? Things are really starting to happen. We've got the big impression obviously, we've got the near to far leading off with a little bit of beautiful light play, some shadow play so your eyes come from the shadows and move across into the light. A lovely focal area here in the clouds because the sun's kind of up here somewhere at the moment. So that's kind of, your eyes get led to the light as well as the hills receding that way, so there's a general feeling of flowing through the picture this way. Subtle changes, very beautiful pinks and greens in there because it's quite receded, it's quite a long way off all this, so the colours are very, well, they're distant colours, so there's a lot of magentas, pale blues, as well as the yellow ochres, but then when I get right up here I've got the pure yellow ochres, pure cad colours to bring it right forward when the sun's shining here, and the darkest darks also, so we've got the biggest contrast here. Gradually fading into just pale blues and very subtle colours in the light here. The light here is keyed down. It's burnt siennas. Hang on, there's a bag. Can't have that one blind eye. We've got burnt siennas, but I've keyed it down with some blues and magentas, whereas I've got it much straight burnt sienna and white up here with pure yellow ochres and whites to really bring it up, ping it, and let it recede there, so you get that feeling of close up here and going off in forever, off into the distance. Pretty happy with that. It's just a play of what blend, where do you want to light things up and where do you want them have them in shadow with this type of day, because everything's keyed down, and then every now and then you'll get a really bright burst of light, and the thing is you can put it wherever you want, so because it's constantly moving. So I felt like I've let it through here nicely, and then I got some nice play of soft shadows. So you've got the big contrast of the dark foreground shadows and the dark shadows. Then you've got a big contrast between light and shadow, but at the same time you want to have some soft patches where it blends, where it's half smeared from the pure light source into the shadow source. Very soft edges. So you get clean, crisp edges here where you want to draw the attention, soft edges where you just want to blend it and echo it and soften the painting. Because that's soft there, that'll make this area here much stronger, much cleaner and crisper. And because that's crisp, that'll make that area look soft. So it's always about contrast. Those contrasts really bring the painting up. Now I've just got to find the perfect blend between hard and soft, lost and found, and a good flow and see whatever. So like I said, it's all about getting back, analysing. Don't just keep throwing heaps of paint on. Throwing heaps of paint on is that first blocking. Once you've done that, every single mark you make is going to make a big difference. So make a mark, get back. Make a mark, get back and see what you reckon. I'll just stand back now and have a quick look and see what I reckon. All right. It's coming together. Now, where do I want some accents? I want to flick one in here, I reckon. Just. Let's get it to pop. That's a nice accent there. I reckon I've probably got enough accents, like I've had all that foreground shadow, beautiful low key. Now I just put a little bit of pure light source on. I think I've got the right blend now. I think I've got the nice contrast, like I was saying, between hard and soft. We've got the beautiful soft, we've got the distance. And then right here in the foreground, I've just added some real ping and sting. There's so many rocks around here that when the light catches them, they're really bright and they're an earthy colour. So to really contrast it against the shadow and the distance with something bright like that really pulls the foreground up. And this painting, like all my others, is about realism from a distance, and up close it's all about paint. And I really feel like I've captured that in this one. At the same time, the concept of this painting is also about near to far, and I really feel like this particular mountain range seems to go on forever, and I feel like I've gotten that repetition with variation just sliding off into the never never like that. So pretty happy. Some beautiful dark accents here, using pure red in the underpainting, red and green, mainly red on the white, and becomes a translucent. When I scratch back to it, because what I did is I rubbed the knife over it, a dry knife later on, pulled back, and that red has the white canvas shining through it like a translucent, like you're looking through something transparent. And that red is just glowing there, and it's beautiful and contrasting, because these are all cool kind of green colours, I guess you would say, and that green is the opposite on the colour wheel, so it's really jumping as an accent. High key colours, jumping, accent, pulling it all forward, and this slow recession of tonal values and colour and drifting off. Of course, the great accent here where the cloud is just letting the light through to really draw your eye up. On the whole, I feel like I'm pretty happy. I've got the nice subtle play of all the hills themselves. They've got a beautiful feeling. This is the ancient seabed. It used to all lie flat, these hills. It was all a seabed. And then upheaval of the Earth's surface has pushed it up on an angle, and you can see all the different layers. When you're here looking directly at the hills, there's this pattern in the hills of all the different layers of sediments. And I seem to have captured it there nicely, and that's what I'm pretty happy about. All right, well, let's get that camera off, come buzzing right in, so you guys can have a look at all the colours and all the technique and application. Pretty random and fast because I was working direct from the subject quickly, because everything's just windy and crazy and I want to get it done, get it all blocked in. And that's something special about the plein air work. There's that kind of urgent energy in the work, which is kind of hard to mimic in the studio. There's some fresh accuracy about working direct from the subject. All right, get the camera off, buzzing in and have a look. Thank you.